Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are we? Well, not morning where you're at? That's okay, because you can have eggs for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Welcome to episode 7 of Three Eggs Are Better Than One. I am Brad Stanton. I know I didn't introduce myself last week, but here I am. I am joined as always by my other eggs, Brian Haremza and Matt M. We would like to thank everyone for the positive feedback from last week. If you listened to it, you know that we had a different take on Rudolph. And you can always find a hero that might be a little bit wicked. We always like to start the show with some positivity. We call it our good news of the week, sunny side up. So this week, Matt, what is your sunny side up?
All right. First, I want to start by saying sorry. I've been under the weather this week. I might sound more nasal than usual. The whole house has been going through it, but we're here. Um, okay, so I have a 7-year-old, and he lost a tooth this week. And the reason why that is my sunny side up is because it's the first time that he lost a tooth in natural fashion instead of dramatic fashion. So he's lost his first four teeth this year. The first tooth was lost by way of a baseball that I threw at him at baseball practice, little league practice. I was his coach. Everyone was lined up. I threw the ball. He didn't catch it. It hit him in the face. There was a big explosion of blood. The tooth went flying, and that was his very first lost tooth. So that was dramatic, traumatic. The second tooth got elbowed out of his face by his friend in gym class. And the third tooth was lost by jumping into a pool. And when we went on vacation, like as soon as we got to the island, we were like the first family there, all excited. He goes running into the pool, and the tooth came out in a bloody mess. So all of the teeth were it was just horrific experiences. And then this one was, he was on the couch and he's like, huh, it fell out. And it was just sitting there in his hand. So I was very happy for him to have a normal life experience like that.
And the tooth fairy has already come.
Yeah, this was yesterday. So the Tooth Fairy came last night in conjunction with the elf. So
Oh, okay. So,
there was a
wow.
duel. The spirit animals teamed up.
So I've been out of the game for a little bit. For the first tooth that was the tooth fairy came. I mean, what's the going rate now?
Oh boy. Um, Apparently it's $22.
That's oddly specific. Oddly
Wait,
specific.
what?
Okay. So the first one, as I mentioned, was the explosion of blood on the baseball field. So I felt particularly bad about that. I mean, obviously, of course, it was an accident, but he was busted up. It was not fun. So we gave him a 20. And my wife always has a lot of cash because of her job. And for some reason, she has like a stack of like crisp $2 bills, which are
What?
kind of neat. And, I mean, it's not that type of job. Um,
Oh, gosh, get it.
but so we ended up giving him a 20 and a 2 because we thought the 2 was like a nice, like little specialty item. And then subsequently, we just always been giving him $22. And
Every time?
yeah, that's bad.
Are
Man,
you
you
kidding
definitely only
me?
have one kid. You definitely only have
One
one kid.
kid. That's a sign of
Dude,
one kid right there.
I got like $2, maybe five at a lucky time, like
I think
never 20.
I probably got $2 a tooth when I was a kid.
My first tooth, I remember I got a silver dollar and it was a very exciting day.
Ah,
Okay.
see, that's like the $2 bill. It's a
Well, of course, the silver dollar is great back in the 1850s, right, Brad? I mean,
Made of real silver.
yeah, backed by the full weight of the government.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start my sunny side up. I have two things this week. Proud to say I got Lotus's grades for her first semester at Pitt, 3.74. Very happy.
Wow.
It's a very hard school to get into for nursing, and she killed it her first year. And you know what? It doesn't come naturally to her. She has to really work hard for it. So I'm really proud of her for that. Second is Kendall. She was in a performance of The Christmas Carol this weekend, and she played, well, it would technically be the role of Fred, who is the nephew of Ebenezer Scrooge, but they called it Emily because she's a girl. And I think that is a very interchangeable part for a man, for a boy or girl. I don't think that matters because you could be a niece or a nephew. I think that's fine either way. I thought it was great. She was always in theater. And, when COVID hit, she was in high school and, the world ended and no one was doing any live performance anymore. So it was really, she's been doing this since she was 4 years old. And it was great to see her get back in it now at 20 years old. And you could just see up there, she felt alive. And it was just really awesome to see that. And I'm going to correct myself from a couple weeks ago and say that my favorite performance of the Christmas Carol is Mickey's Christmas Carol, which I do love. No, my favorite performance of the Christmas Carol is this one, where she performs with her old dance studio, and they have been doing it for 30 years. So very, very, very fun to see her do that. And again, very proud of Lotus. So, Brian, how about you?
Well, for me, mine involves work. This time of the year is usually contract season, as we like to call it. It's where we go in and negotiate for all of our convenience stores to set up space, product placements for next year. And luckily for me, as in life, wait till the very last minute. And we just finished our last contract yesterday, or as we're recording this on the Wednesday before, and because they were all due on Friday. So naturally, you got to drag it out to the last minute. Also, customers are very stubborn and people don't like to cooperate when, things make sense. So getting all of them done in a timely manner and getting my bosses off my back is my sunny side up, making everybody happy as they can be anyway.
I can tell you've been busy this week.
Yeah, I think today alone I drove 310 miles to make sure I got every last one of them done on time. So it has not been fun, and also I'm tired of being in my car at this point. So
The group chat has missed you.
yes, I would say I've also been getting yelled at to not text and drive as much. So that's why that's been cut down a lot as well. So
that we'll be okay with that.
Yes. So, but that's my sunny side up. Back to you, Brad.
So it's hard boiled time, and guess who I'm picking on right away? It's the guy Matt M, because he's a liar, and I'm going to tell you why right away. So I turned on episode the second. It's based on a true story. I don't know if you heard Matt talk about that from a couple weeks ago, that he's really enjoying watching it, and I enjoyed it as well. But you know what bullshit Matt said? That it's 22 minutes long, and he can watch 10 of them one night. Guess what? Episode 2 of this year, 30 minutes long, and I don't have the plan that doesn't get rid of the commercials. I got the commercials in there because I don't have all this money to pay for all these streams and not have the commercials. So 30 minutes plus the commercials. Guess what? 40 or almost 40 minutes.
Okay, hang on. It's Peacock, right?
Yeah.
I have the with commercials version as well.
Well, check out episode 2 of this season. It's 30 minutes plus those.
I feel like most of them are like 22 minutes.
Well, not episode 2. So you're out.
It's streaming. They vary, bruh.
They do vary, but they ain't 22 minutes. That's 8 minutes plus 6 more minutes at least. So
you got to figure out something to do with those 2 minutes in between.
Believe me, I
have another show queued up on another screen and just watch little snippets.
So for the people that are my age out there, if you don't understand, the streaming works differently than if you're on a DVR. You can fast forward the DVR. But a stream, when it says it's 30 minutes, they don't mean the ads. The ads, it stops. So that is extra time that we don't account for when we see the 30 minutes. So thanks, Matt. Okay. Second, I have complained about this in the past. It's the walkway, like the crosswalk. Okay. I get it. Pedestrians have the right of way, and I have come to grips with it. Okay. That someone can just walk right out of the grocery store with their head down and just say, I'm walking right into traffic, even though all of us have been taught our entire lives to look both ways. That's not the way of the world now. You have to stop because there's a crosswalk here, even if you're like 10 feet away. Fine. But guess what? Guess what you can't do? You can't have a conversation with somebody else in the middle of it. Move. It is a driving area. Move. That happened to me twice this week. So guess what, Matt?
Uh-oh.
I was at the holiday party a couple days ago, and they have a really great, the beginning of it's really great. They have all these appetizers, and it's a cocktail hour, and there's a buffet. Even before, this is like the appetizer before the food. It's really well done. There was a Chinese food area, and they have the beef, the chicken, and the shrimp all mixed in with the vegetables. And guess what they put it in? They put it in Chinese, the boxes.
Oh,
you have to actually, that's how you get it. You have no other way to get it other than putting it in the boxes. So guess what I did? I ate it right out of the box, and it was not
photos?
A problem. What?
Did you take photos?
I did not take photos,
but
it's a true story. It is a very true story because I wouldn't be telling it otherwise. It's not based on a true story. It is a true story.
So, I like that as that was part of the theme of the food, right? That was
I went up twice and got it. It was very good, very good. The dinner, not so much, but that part, you got to make it for that part. That is the good, the fresh stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
I want to go back to the crosswalk.
okay.
Yeah, it's not my favorite rule, law, whatever it is. To me, there's a difference between somebody who's crossing the street and somebody who's waiting to cross the street. It's like you're driving something that weighs a few thousand pounds. If it's already in motion, it should have the right of way unless you're going to hit something. You shouldn't have to slow down because somebody's waiting. Like you keep going and they go when it's safe. To me, it makes sense that way.
If they're at the beginning of the crosswalk and I'm coming up and they're waiting, they're going. I'm allowing it. But when they put their head down, coming out the door with their cart and don't care, they could be dead. Like, what are we
Yeah.
talking about? I mean, I'm only going 10 miles an hour or less, but still, it's going to hurt because I've hit something 10 miles an hour or less and dent my car pretty good.
Yeah, parking lots are, it's like we've never actually figured out how to make a good one. Like,
No.
have you ever been in a parking lot and like, oh my God, this makes total sense? Like, no,
No,
there's nuts, doesn't exist.
no,
Yeah, I
they're
feel like the
bad.
parking lot is the perfect example of a free for all, constant all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And
You have more?
you might weigh in on this. Yeah, I got a
Oh,
couple more
oh,
things. They're not
gee.
big things. Two Monday night football games in the same night is ridiculous.
Oh God, how many times are we going to talk about this? Every
It's
time?
ridiculous. It's the same channel, except one's ESPN and one's eight. Right, not the same channel, the same network. They're a half hour apart. They're just splitting their audience. There's nothing good about it. And why at this point in the year? If you want to do it the first week, okay, do it the first week. That's it. Freaking week
That's
15?
that's what they used to do. I don't know. I don't know why they do it.
I don't know why they do it either. It's the same network.
It
It's like
might
having Raw and SmackDown on at the same time.
it might have something to do with there's more games on Thursdays, Saturdays, and Christmas is Wednesday. There's going to be games. So if teams are involved in those games that are askew, they might try to bump the neighboring games further apart to give them more time off. You know what I'm
You
saying?
would know, but we don't know why. But anyway,
Yeah.
so I'm really glad right now that I am a married man. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if I was online dating right now, it would be a problem because you have no idea who you're looking at. And I'm not saying I'm a handsome guy, but when you see me online, this is what you get. Okay. I look old, I'm bald, I have a beard. Okay. But the filters on these women right now, you have zero idea of what these women look like. And again, I'm nothing special, but I at least have an idea of who I'm going to meet here because it is nothing of what's online. Be yourself. You're going to find out eventually, okay? A few extra likes on Facebook, TikTok, whatever, Instagram, real, sooner than later, reality is going to set in. Finally, the college football transfer portal should start after the Bulls are over. You freaking shouldn't be trading for people while you have a game plan. These organizations that are sponsoring you are putting money into this to see the stars, not to see the backup quarterbacks. Hard boiled.
Very hard boiled. I don't even know what the transfer portal is, and I'm glad. And I
Well,
don't want
Think
to know.
think NFL free agency.
before the season ends.
Yeah.
I always thought it was weird. Isn't there like a month between the end of the season and the bowl games?
Well, yeah, usually like right around Thanksgiving or about a week after, and then you have the bowl games leading up, but the bigger bowl games are later.
But why is there
Hmm.
such a gap?
There's not as big of a gap as there used to be because it
For
used
like
to be
some,
January
yeah,
1st.
for some teams there are, but it's not for everybody. Yeah.
So right, like as we're recording this tomorrow, Notre Dame's playing in that playoff. So it's not that long. It's like actually, I
Well,
mean,
I
they played
mean, the
last
playoff
week.
system probably changes things.
It's 12, but they just finished until
Yeah.
December 9th to the 28th is the portal. The season doesn't end until January 9th or something like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, anyway. So next segment is going to be a Matt M special. I can smell it from here. Rotten eggs, Matt? What are we talking about?
Rotten eggs. All right. Well, we like to talk about Christmas. So I thought, and it was just the beginning here. I thought we should talk about some of our bad Christmas presents that we've received over the years. So, Christmas Eve, very big in my family historically. Christmas Eve is usually when everybody gets together, the big meal and everything, exchanging presents between the families. Christmas Day is usually you wake up at your own house and it's just your immediate family. That's how we've always done it. So Christmas Eve, we get together at my aunt's house. She's always been the host, great cook, food, drink, family, all that good stuff. And after dinner, we'll start opening presents. And the way my aunt gives presents is all the men get a big gift bag and they all have to open it at the same time. And all the women get a big gift bag, and there'll be like six things in there. It's like, okay, grab the one that looks like this, and then everyone opens it. Okay, and it's just random stuff, and there's always like oddball gifts in there. Like she, like was at the on the corner end cap at Brookstone or something like that. So there's been some good ones over the years, but there was a really bad one 10, 15 years ago, and it was so bad that somebody always brings it up every year to like poke fun at it. It was these snow treads that you would put on your shoes, on your sneakers. It's like you have to like put your shoes on and then like this spiky metal thing you have to somehow get over, like as if you're gonna go walking around in the snow. It was the most absurd thing. I'm sure nobody even ever took it out of the package. And we just rip her apart for it all the time because it was just the most ridiculous, awful gift. So rotten eggs on that. Now, if you guys have rotten eggs, I'd love to hear it. But I actually had some. This made me think of some of the good gifts she's actually given over the years, and I'd like to share those too. But first, did you guys have any rotten egg gifts?
So I've been thinking about this because you kind of gave us a heads up. I don't think I've had a bad Christmas gift that I remember in particular, but I'm going to give two examples here of rotten eggs. So I remember being a kid, and my dad had a gift for my mother, and she opens it up, and it's a leather suede jacket, and she says, "Is this for me?" And I'll never forget that moment. So she tries it on. It's like this whole big event. My dad's telling her to put it on, and then he leaves the room, and she looks at me. She goes, "Your dad knows. Your dad knows how much I don't like leather. He knows." And I'll never forget that. I was younger, so that was pretty rotten eggs on both sides. Like, I don't know who doesn't like leather, right? But I always thought that was funny. Second thing, it wasn't a Christmas gift. It was I am remarried, so my ex-wife, back when I was my kids were very young, got me a $50 gift certificate to Home Depot. Now that sounds like great for a man, right? Well, not this man, because this man can't fix anything. So basically, she had a freaking Home Depot card laying around the house, and she gave it to me, and that was my birthday gift. So I just wanted to say that. So that's my rotten eggs.
Mine is I was a young lad, wrestling fan, and all I wanted for Christmas, I begged for it from the previous Christmas to this Christmas, was WCW came out with this wrestling ring, and on the steps it had these buttons on it. It would like ring the bell and have crowd noise, but I wanted it so badly. And Christmas came, and we come home, and all the gifts are there, and there's an envelope sitting there. And instead of getting the wrestling ring that I wanted, I just got a letter from Santa telling me that his elves got sick and he couldn't make it for me.
Oh,
And that was my gift, was the note from Santa
oh.
telling me, "Hey, I couldn't make it, but here's a note from me telling you next year if I can get it, I'll get it to you."
Wouldn't have just no gift been better than the note?
Would have been way better. Would have been way better. Wouldn't haunt me to this day.
And do you know why? What was the truth behind this situation?
They couldn't find it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's unavailable.
It was just unavailable. Yeah.
So my sister got that note, but it said she would get it January 4th.
I
Oh, that makes me
that's
laugh.
great. That's great. For me, I eventually did get the ring like 4 years later when I found it at Toys R Us myself
Yeah.
and then just bought it.
That's really, I like the January 4th. That cracks me up. That cracks me up.
I
The
get
Santa
that.
tracking shows.
Hmm.
So, okay. So this is funny. So first of all, Brad, when you were telling the story about your dad, you made me think of my dad. Whenever my dad was handing out presents, he would always hand it off and go, "Everything's returnable. Everything's returnable." Got receipts. So that was always funny. And That so you guys we were talking about the wrestling ring being unavailable. You know, there's always like the hot items that are unavailable. So at some point when I was a kid, the that item was a Furby. Remember Furbies?
Yeah,
Hmm.
have
So there's
several.
still, I guess there's still Furbies because I was in the store with my son and he loves toys and stuffed animals like obsessively. And he saw the Furbies and he was terrified. Like I think they're like heads and eyes move.
So I don't blame him on that. They're terrifying. Yeah.
He was like, "Ah, I don't want that. I don't want that." And this is a kid who like you give him any toy in the world and he's like, "I want it. I want it." So Furby scare him. And I'm like, "Oh, that's funny because that was like the you can't get this item that year." Okay, so the good gifts that I want to give credit to my aunt. So one year she got everybody an atomic lighter. You know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what these things are. Pretty cool. It's an electronic lighter that produces like this spark. So if you don't have matches or a proper lighter, and but you have electricity, you can charge it and light something. So that was pretty neat. And last year she gave everybody like a battery caddy, which you may have seen these in, selling them stacks in stores now. I see them everywhere. But there's slots to put your double A's or triple A's and all kinds of batteries. And it's just kind of been an awesome little, I mean, I use it all the time, right? You just throw everything in there, everything's organized. So she's
That's
giving out
awesome.
pretty good gifts too. Not all rotten eggs.
I I love Christmas. It's great.
Let's keep talking about it.
Well, we're gonna keep going this week,
Oh,
right?
we are.
All right. So that brings us to fried eggs. Now, what is fried eggs? We have not talked about this new segment, right,
Oh,
Matt?
new segment.
So this is fads in and out. So this could be anything. This could be something that's in now. It could be something you wore a long time ago. It's really up to you. So who are we starting with on this? I guess it's Bryant.
Well, for me, a fad that I was very in on for a long time, but grew out of it when I decided to become an adult and have a real job was I used to wear like they used to have those don't want to call them a hemp necklace, but it's that one kind of like a rope necklace with a random bead in the middle. And I would wear that all the time, everywhere, to the pool, to friends' houses. I would just wear it constantly. And then when I was an adult, or I say adult, but when I was growing up and realized I had to get a job, a lot of managers don't look fondly on that, especially, if you're trying to be professional or you're working with people. So I realized that I had to get out of that. And unfortunately, I had to retire the necklace. And at this point, I have no idea where it is, thankfully. But that was the fad that I fell into deeply.
Hmm.
So,
So I got
Brad,
a question. The problem here is that I messed up here because this segment should come with pictures, and I don't have pictures either.
yeah,
So
I
next
wasn't
time
going to
we
put pictures
do
up either.
this, we got to do it right.
Okay, I'll do it right next time.
Because I have something that was inspired by a 1990 song called Can't Touch This. Okay. Now, if you remember, there was MC Hammer back in the day, and there was a
Oh
song
my
called
god.
Can't Touch This, and he would go, oh, whoa, whoa, and then he'd
God.
break it down, and across the stage he went with his, I would call them
Mhm.
parachute pants, right? So this was
Yeah.
about 1990. I was around 13, 14 years old. And I got was called, they were similar to what those pants were, but they were called Skids. Okay. That was the brand name, Skids. And they were parachute type pants. And they had like the drawstring as well, but they were very, very wide in the leg. And well, not only did you wear them, but you had to peg the bottoms. What does pegging mean? It means you lift it up like I don't even know how to describe it. You pull it over and then you pull it up again. So they're tight. Okay. And not only that, I had what was called penny loafers to wear with them. But if you wore put pennies in them, you weren't cool. So penny loafers without the pennies and skid pants. That was my fad that is definitely out now. Okay. And I wore them. And I wish I had that picture because I remember my dad taking it. Matt, how about you? You got notes. Go ahead.
So, Brian, you talked about the hemp necklace. I had a ball chain necklace. That was in when I was in high school. I did not have a chain wallet. That was very popular when I was growing up. Do you guys have one of those?
I did not have one, but I had several people I know that had one.
Yeah, several people I knew, but no, I did not
No, I
cave
never
into that.
did. I never did. Um, so I, we never defined what this category really was supposed to be. Mine wasn't necessarily about myself. Mine was about Christmas.
The figure.
So I was driving through the neighborhood and people have Christmas lights and decorations up. And I've got some of those inflatables in front of my house. And I noticed a lack of a particular type of Christmas decoration that I thought, maybe that was an in and out fad. You remember those like projections? People would stick
Yeah.
the projection light in their front instead of put stringing up lights. There would be a projection screen. They'd stick the thing in the front of their yard, and it would be a moving light projection of snowflakes or reindeer or something Christmassy. Or it wasn't even just for Christmas, but obviously Christmas is the most decorated. And I just don't think yeah, there was like a 3 year period where that's all I saw, and now I don't see them.
Yeah,
And
it was cool too.
I, I'm not sure what I thought about it. I remember driving up to my parents' house one Christmas and they had one, and I was like, oh, I guess we do this now too. And now I feel like I haven't seen any this season.
No. And it used to be Halloween too.
Yeah, I've seen it for different holidays. Yeah,
Yeah,
you just
where'd
change
that
the
go?
pie. You just
Where did that go?
that's fried egg.
I have there gotta be some kind of discount bin here and right next to Bryant's old wrestling ring that we can buy something for cheap.
Exactly. Yes. Should be able to find all this stuff.
No, that's good, Matt. Very good.
Yeah.
I am gonna think about this now. And I'm gonna ask Sue when I get downstairs about it too. Which brings us, I called it the omelet this week because is it really a rabbit hole?
It's not really a rabbit hole this week, no.
So we're gonna go ahead and kick it to Bryant for our main topic of the week. So what do you got, Bryant?
So this week, if you guys remember, last week I said there was a little bit of homework.
Yeah.
There's always the classics for Christmas. You know, you have It's a Wonderful Life, A Christmas Story, Elf for some people. But the one thing we don't ever talk about really are the terrible movies. The movies that they're Christmas movies, but let's be realistic, they're just so awful that no one wants to watch them again unless you just become a fan of them. And I called it torturing my family with me having them watch it. It's not really, but to them it is. I genuinely don't care either because I'm going to force them to watch it every year until I die because some of these movies to me are just the best. So I picked three movies. I don't know about you guys, what you brought to the table. If there is some overlap, I'm sure we can run with it. But I did pick three movies, I'm sure, and I know one of them we've all seen. I do know this. But for me, I'll load this up here because I came prepared as well. We have A Merry Friggin' Christmas. It was one of Robin Williams' last movies made. Stars Robin Williams, Joel McHale, Oliver Platt. You can see kind of the roll call there of people in the movie. The synopsis of the movie, Joel McHale, his father's Robin Williams. They've been disconnected. But Joel McHale forgets, as he goes to his father's parents' house for Christmas, forgets the gift for his son. So now he needs to drive all the way back to his home, and he has no way to get home. He now must take a road trip with his father. They reconnect on the road trip only to get home, and the father realizes how much he's been shortchanged by his son. It's the typical Christmas come together movie that it has a purpose, but it doesn't. It's just more trying to be comedy drama. And I enjoy the movie, but the critics did not, as one would expect, as it does have a 14% Rotten Tomato score. It's just it's one of those cute Christmas movies. Essentially, that's what you're going for here. But
I know nothing about it. Nothing.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. Well, again, a lot of these movies probably not. Our second movie, though,
Never even heard of it.
I'm not surprised. Not surprised, especially from the movie executive, though. Our next movie, of course, is Jingle All the Way. Now, who doesn't love an Arnold Schwarzenegger comedy where he's trying to hunt down an action figure for his son? Turbo Man, sure, it's a ridiculous action figure, but the comedy of him and Sinbad together and just knowing how much he loves his son enough to get him an action figure that I'm sure by next year he won't care about. Let's be realistic. Another movie, 20% score on Rotten Tomatoes. One of those. Now, to me, this one's that hidden classic of that Christmas spirit. Trying to bring the family together, bringing his son together. Who could forget the parade scene, the fight scene with Sinbad in the store, a cameo by Paul White, professional wrestler, as one of the Santas. And it's so bad it's good, though, to me. Like, I can't explain.
You never
Really?
saw it?
I never saw it.
Oh, I definitely saw it. I like it. I mean, it was from when we were younger, so I
Yeah.
like it.
No, I never saw it. It seems it gives me elf vibes, to recall a past episode of ours. But I feel like if you saw it as a kid and you liked it, you probably still have an appreciation for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And the third movie I brought only because it is one that I enjoy, and our dear egg friend Matt here brought it up already. I do love Home Alone 3. Now,
Oh no.
Three.
three. Yes,
Oh
three.
no.
Let's be specific here. Three. Now, it's way different than obviously the Macaulay Culkin versions, because at this point he's too old to be home alone, and he'd just be a homeowner at that point. But the movie went for more comedy than it did the actual anything. It made the invaders complete buffoons. Even worse than the first two, where they at least had a plan. It was trying to outsmart the other ones. This one just went for pure comedy and hijinks of him trying to break in. These people trying to break in and take over the home from this kid. And as you can see, there are animals involved in this movie as well. None of them were hurt, thankfully. Let's also be upfront with that one. We don't want to upset PETA
But
here,
they're surely dead by now.
but I would think so, yes. But it's just like Jingle All the Way in the sense that it's so ridiculous. It's funny to me that first of all, to continue the franchise without Macaulay Culkin was funny enough to me anyway. But there's no premise to this movie of what, like, at least in the first two, they plotted out the intruders plotted out the house. They knew what they were attacking. They had the insight with Joe Pesci coming in. They had a plan. These burglars don't. They just see the kid as home alone and we're gonna go break into that house. It's the whole premise. And
This poor kid.
the kid's just yeah. And by the way,
Right.
the kid wasn't abandoned. He was just homesick. That's the difference here. He was just
Okay.
homesick.
And it's still Christmas?
Still Christmas.
Okay.
All right, I need to speak.
Go for it.
This is not a setup. I say this with 100% honesty. I would say it in the courtroom on this witness stand. We just watched this movie right before we started recording tonight, me and my family.
No way. Oh!
Now, we have had them all on rotation throughout the season, so it's not even the first time I've watched it this month. But we literally just watched it, and I kept looking over to my wife saying, "This is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life." First of all, there is actually a plot as to why.
I don't want to believe that, but okay, go for it.
They're trying to recover something that was a mistaken package. He's got the chicken pox.
Yep.
Mom had to go to work. The dad had to go to work. The sister's Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
Nice.
But first of all, the traps that he set up are, the three of us couldn't put any of these together if he gave us a week.
No.
Not even with
Every
a Home
single
Depot.
one of them would result in death if it actually happened to somebody,
Yes.
And it's like a piano falling on your head.
Mhm.
And obviously it's the worst acting you have ever seen.
Oh, horrible. It's god awful.
It is so bad. It's really bad. And this was released theatrically and made like $80 million.
Yes, it was.
Just based on the name. I mean,
Oh, it's all the name.
oh my
It's
God.
all the name. 100% all the name.
It is
But-
it is bad.
So you've not seen Jingle All the Way, but you've seen Home Alone 3, which I
Well,
feel should be the
More than
opposite.
once.
That's the
I,
point too.
I've seen all six of them. I don't know why. I mean, I have a kid, and he likes seeing all the traps and stuff. So, we watch all the movies over and over again.
I get
My
that.
son is a very big, like, we'll watch the same thing 7 nights in a row until he's like, all right, let's watch something else.
I feel like
Sounds
that's most kids.
not that's very normal. Yeah.
I feel like it's a normal kid thing.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But as I said, this is about the bad movies that
Yeah.
you enjoy at the holiday time. So, Brad, what do you have here for us?
So I have two bad movies that I enjoy and one movie that I don't understand why anybody likes. So the bad movie that I enjoy is the 2017 Daddy's Home 2. It has 8% Rotten Tomatoes. It is a sequel to Daddy's Home, which is about Will Ferrell as a stepfather and Mark Wahlberg as the biological father trying to get along in the first one. Well, the second one, they're already the other buddies, right? And it's them, it's Mark Wahlberg, Will Ferrell, and then we have Will Ferrell's dad, and it is John Lithgow, and Mark Wahlberg's dad is Mel Gibson. And it got 8% Rotten Tomatoes, like I said. And I love every bit of this movie because there are some just really funny scenes. It is not a bad movie. It is very enjoyable. It's got a great ending, and of course, John Cena's in it. But I'm telling you, that 8% is BS. This is a movie that everybody should watch. And I've watched this as an adult, not as a kid.
I'm,
Daddy's Home
I'm,
2.
I'm
Everybody check it out.
confused. Is this a Christmas movie?
It is a Christmas
It
movie.
is a Christmas movie. Yep.
Oh,
They're
okay.
both Christmas movies, I believe. Actually, I don't remember
The, the first one, the
Christmas.
first one's not. The second one
Okay.
is.
But
I
there's a
I don't
bowling scene in this that you have to watch. There's a bowling scene you have to watch.
I have not seen either. Um, who's in it again?
Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg, John Lithgow, and
Yeah,
Mel Gibson are in the second one. Now they're not in the dads of them are not in the first one.
Mel
But Mel
Gibson.
Gibson and or Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell are in it. Yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen him. I mean, was
Well, anyway, I recommend it, and I think the critics got it wrong on this one, and I'm really glad I watched it before I found out. And John Cena's funny too. All right. The second one is a movie from I think it was 1985, and it's called Santa Claus the movie, and it's not the Tim Allen Santa Claus. Okay, it is. It goes back to the origin of Santa Claus, of how the elves found him and made him Santa Claus magically, and then little by little it became a bigger and bigger deal. And he's the guy that's in is David Huddleston. I don't know if everybody knows him, but it's also Dudley Moore plays the head elf, and John Lithgow is the once again is a villain and a villain in this movie. I love this movie. I love it. I think it's great, but it's got terrible reviews. I think it's really enjoyable. I think it really nails Christmas and just everything about it and what it becomes and what it shouldn't be. There's a kid that lives on the street in it, a rich girl. They come together. I love everything about this movie, and I love the candy canes, which I'll get to later in this episode. So, I don't know if any of you have seen that.
I have not, but I'm noticing the John Lithgow theme here.
yeah.
That's not on purpose.
All right.
What do you got, Matt? You
So
got some-
I knew this was going to happen, but that's the movie that I picked too.
No kidding.
So yeah,
That's pretty rare. That's surprising.
1985, Santa Claus the movie, and I was hoping that we could discuss the correct pronunciation because you guys know I love to pick apart words and stuff. I always said John Lithgow,
Yeah, let's go.
John Lithgow, but I've certainly heard people say John Lithgow, but it's one of those things where my brain determined when I was young that it's Lithgow, so that's just how I'm always going to say it. Um, so here's why I'm pretty sure it's a terrible movie. I'm pretty sure that I watched it when I was like in my 20s. Like, hey, I used to like this as a no, I mean, I watched it as a kid,
Oh, okay.
but then I made a conscious decision to watch it as an adult to be like, oh, let's check it out. And then I did, and it was terrible. But here's why I liked it so much as a kid. Um, it was kind of dark and it kind of had that feel to it of like, nowadays if you want to watch something, you could pick up your phone or turn on your Roku or whatever, and you could probably find 95% of everything you've ever imagined is available somewhere. That was not the case when we were kids, right? It had to be airing, it had to be broadcast. Oh, you want to watch the Peanuts Christmas? Oh, well, it's airing at 8:30 on one day in December. You got to find it, you got to track it down, you got to look at the TV guide. This movie, when I was a kid in the 90s, was like a hard to find thing, you know? Maybe it aired once on USA or something like, on December 18th. I don't know. And then like you would catch it and it like, it was already in progress for 20 minutes and you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch the rest of the movie." I mean, this is people our age having this is how we experience things. But I was going to talk about the candy canes, but you said you were going to talk about that later.
Well, not in the movie Candy Canes. I have a candy cane. I have something.
Oh. So yeah, I mean that was the thing. That's what I liked about this movie the most. There was like this magic dust that made things fly, and it started out with the reindeer, and then the evil corporation figured out a way to put it into candy canes, and then they were selling all the candy canes because the kids wanted to fly. And it's like I was reading like the Wikipedia like plot explanation of it just to remind myself, and I was like, this sounds terrible. It doesn't make any sense, but I loved it
I
as a
don't
kid.
agree with you at all. I mean, listen, at first it was lollipops, and they got the lollipop under the tree, and the lollipop made them fly. The next year they had the candy canes, and the candy canes actually got a little hot or something like that in the sleigh, and everything went awry.
Yeah. But like I like to I often like to think of ridiculous situations of people sitting around a writer's room or a boardroom deciding
Wonder
like,
why.
what would happen if the candy canes got too hot? Like, where did that idea come from? And then everybody signed off on it. Okay, well, that was my, what do we call this segment?
Well,
Uh,
now, hold on a second. Brad mentioned that he had a movie that he didn't know why people liked.
yes, and that is A Nightmare Before Christmas. Tim
Oh,
Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't get it, and I like Tim Burton, but I don't understand the cult following behind this. I went to a party recently, a Friday the 13th party before Christmas, it was called, and it was everywhere. I have a friend at work, or someone I work with, I mean, it's everywhere, and it's everywhere, everywhere. I don't get it. It's
okay.
okay at best.
First of all, did I cut you off? I don't remember you saying something about Tim Burton, and now we're going
He
back.
did not. No, he did not. He didn't bring that up.
I didn't, I mean, I mentioned at the beginning that I had when
Yeah.
I,
Okay.
So
I
why don't you get it?
Yeah.
it's okay. It's just okay. It's not that great of a movie. It's just not that great of a movie. It's just okay. It's not. It shouldn't have this many people. Like it gets put back into theater. What are we talking about? Like what?
This is true.
Yeah.
It
Hard
sounds like
boiled.
the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which I actually do like, but they put it back into theater.
Yeah.
I don't understand. It's okay at best.
It is the 30th anniversary. That could have something
It was
to.
when it was. It doesn't matter. It's every year
Okay.
we go
All
through this.
right. Okay.
I'm not that upset. Okay, I'm
Okay.
just disappointed.
Brian, you want to say talk? I'd love to talk about this movie, but
So my wife loves this movie. This is one of her favorite movies of all time. We have a ton of decorations in our home that is dedicated to just this movie. I I can understand Brad's point of like the overplay maybe, but the story of them learning of Christmas, I think that's what makes this the story different. Where it's you're teaching this whole new like it's like you're trying to teach a generation of what Christmas is and what's supposed to mean. And I think that's the story of it, and it's the misfits. It's kind of that almost that misfit toy feel of like these misfits coming together to learn Christmas. I
Okay.
think that's the story that makes it last.
hmm
Okay, I can buy that. I don't know if I was a little too old when it came out, or I don't even remember. I don't know what year it was, but
it was 94.
so I was 18. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah. Okay. So we all love that movie in this house. I love it. I loved it as a kid. I had the VHS copy, and it was like one of those like thick case VHS that would like
Mm-hmm.
the kids' movies would come in where you could like hear the plastic.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
I think that the animation for being 30-year-old animation is fantastic and still looks beautiful to this day. Um, I think that you take Halloween and Christmas and combine them. Who doesn't like those two holidays? Everybody loves it. That's what probably everybody's two favorite holidays of the year. You're sort of combining them in the same story. You've got cool dark themes. People love goth shit, and that's what this is, really. People love that stuff. It's perfect for merchandise. It's perfect for decorations. It's you can. I mean, we have a Jack Jack Skellington like dressed as Santa like downstairs and with our tree right now.
I really
I
haven't
had
heard
I have an inflatable like in front of my house.
What do I know? It's Bryant's wife's favorite, and you have freaking inflatables
Yeah.
and
I mean, like it's the sort of thing where like people have tattoos of it, and
Mhm.
oh yeah, 100%. It's like the cult. It's like a cult following, but it's more than a cult following because it's not like underground. It's like very popular. I'm
Yeah.
mad now. I'm mad. Um, yeah, no, I love it. We watch it. We watch this. It's a very short movie. It's like an hour 15 or something. It's an easy watch. Um, yeah. And my son and all his friends call him Jack Skeleton because it's easier to say, and they don't realize that it's Skellington, not skeleton.
I bet that pisses you off.
No, it doesn't. It's a cute thing that kids say. Actually, his friend just had a birthday, and we went. The birthday was in October, and we went, and it was we didn't know it, but we walked in, and it was a Nightmare Before Christmas themed party. So,
Yeah.
Brad, you're in the wrong.
Yeah, and I was at one last Friday. So what do I know? But it's your turn, Matt.
It's my turn. What's the topic?
No, it's still the. Did you pick movies?
Yeah, the Santa Claus movie.
He picked the same
Oh,
movie
we
you
only
did.
had one.
I didn't know
I
there's
don't know
no.
why. I don't know why I thought there was three either. I don't think that's the rule.
You know what's
Well,
fun?
I just said I picked three.
I
So
want to go back to talking about Home Alone 3 and how bad it was. It
please.
was, I literally said to Sue on the couch just before, because literally we were watching it right before I came up to record. I said, this is 3 times as bad as the Bruce Willis movie that I made everybody watch. And it's the honest truth, because that movie wasn't even that bad. That that
Yes, it
Bruce
was.
that Bruce
No, it was.
wasn't even that
It
bad.
was that
At least
bad.
I could answer stories in Home Alone 3. I still don't know stuff about the movie from the Bruce Willis movie.
You came on here and said you didn't even know what the purpose of the burglars was.
Yeah, they were just again. He's not even left home alone. That's the best. He's just left home alone because he's sick. It's not like his parents abandoned him like in the first two
All right,
movies.
so it's
He's
it's not a
literally
good
just
enough
home alone
right.
from being sick. It's the
Unless
funniest. At what
unless the
point you're just like, my
family
parents are gonna come home. Like they
right.
could just show up at any moment. You guys should leave. Like, come on. That's hilarious. It's funny.
So it's so bad.
It is bad, but it's great. It's great because it's bad.
What else we got, Brad?
So that brings us to duck eggs, and what this is one of my favorite segments is obscure facts, where or just information out there that is obscure. So I have put together a small piece here, and it is several sources that I put in this and made it my own. But it is the delicious origins of the candy cane. Because what, Matt? Because we keep shoving Christmas down everybody's throat, don't we?
You gotta keep doing it.
Well, this is going to be it. So
I plan on talking about it at least 3 more weeks.
So candy canes are now as much a part of Christmas as evergreen trees, ornaments, and presents piled under the tree. But no one really knows their entire history. We do know that they originated in Germany about 300 years ago. You might be surprised to know they were not always red and white with curved top to look like a cane. They actually started out as plain old straight white sugar sticks, mostly used by parents of 1600s as a pacifier. A pacifier! They evidently were not too worried with the condition of their offspring's teeth, were they now? So, although created around 1670, it wasn't until 1844 that a recipe for straight candy sticks was published. About the same time as when they were used to decorate Christmas trees for the first time in America. In 1847, August Imgrad, great name, a German-Swedish immigrant in Worcester, Ohio, used the white sticks to decorate an evergreen in his home. The rest of the family liked it so much that they continued the tradition. It was common to hang sweets, baked goods, and fruits on the trees, so candy canes were a perfect addition. Around 1900, the red stripes were added, and the sticks were flavored with peppermint or wintergreen. You can even find evidence of this by looking at antique postcards. Postcards before 1900 do show candy sticks decorating Christmas trees, but it's not until the night after 1900 that the striped sticks began showing up on the cards. An interesting aside that affected even the candy cane was that there was a great debate about the additives in the candy and in foods in general. The sticks were still straight in the late 1800s, and some candy makers added stripes by hand. Some of those bright colors in candy actually contained hazardous substances, like the red, which included lead oxide and mercury sulfide. Man, we're off and running. This was allowed since there was no regulation of additives in food and candy. In an 1885 cartoon for Puck, the dangers of additives in candy were illustrated by showing the mutual friendship between striped candy doctors and the undertakers. Well, let's get straight to the candy store for some. In the 1900s, the passage of the Pure Food and Drug Act began to regulate additives in the candy and other foods. So let's get to it. Now, how did these straight sticks get to their crook or get their crook? There were lots of stories about that as well. One story is that a choir master in Germany's Cologne Cathedral convinced a local candy maker to bend sugar sticks into a shape of shepherd's crooks so that restless children attending Christmas Mass could hold on to the treat as they enjoyed it and remained quiet. No one is really sure if this is true or just convenient legend. Evidence shows that the sticks remained straight for years to come. One thing for sure is the candy sticks were labor intensive to make. They were handmade, colored, shaped, and were very expensive to purchase. So they were not really for masses, but they were a treat for those who had the money to spend on luxuries. In the 1920s, cracker businessman Bob McCormick began making candy canes as Christmas treats for his community in Albany, Georgia, pulling, twisting, cutting, and bending them by hand. They were so popular that Bob started his own business called Bob's Candies. The candy remained a local treat as well and were easily shipped. Or as they were not easily shipped, I mean. They were fragile and were prone to take on moisture, becoming sticky. In the 1950s, McCormick's brother-in-law, Gregory Harding Keller, a Catholic priest, invented the Keller machine, which turned straight candy sticks into curved candy canes automatically. And the world was made a little sweeter that day, now wasn't it? Okay, we could now mass produce the sweet treats, but what about packaging and shipping? About the same time as Bob's brother-in-law invented the Keller machine, Bob's son, Bob Jr., created a packing device that wrapped and sealed the candy in moisture-proof plastic wrappers. Bob Sr. also came up with a box that held the candy in place for shipping. Now, Bob was finally able to ship his candy canes far and wide, eventually making Bob's Candies the world's largest candy cane producer, and the rest, as they say, is history. Bob's candy canes are still being produced today, although under the Ferrara Candy Company name since 2005. You can still see Bob's name on the front of the red and green box. Now after two, however, now after 2 billion candy canes are made every year, you don't have to just choose peppermint red stripes. You can get candy canes in many colors and flavors: cinnamon, butter rum, mac and cheese, pickle, and even clam flavored. No thanks. I think I'll stick with the peppermint. Today, candy canes continue to decorate our Christmas trees and stuffed stockings. They help to stir hot chocolate and are crushed and sprinkled on top of cookies and other desserts. Their images have adorned Christmas cards in wrapping paper. They have turned into decorations and taken their place as one of the most beloved symbols of Christmas holiday. They are arguably the most popular holiday candy with the longest standing history. Enjoy some this holiday season. That was a lot, right?
Some might say too much.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Like,
clam flavored? Is that what
Yeah.
you just told me?
That's
What the
bad.
I just
hell?
found it interesting that nobody could get it. So what's the point? Like there was a time when you had to be a rich guy to get a candy cane. I don't even like them that much. They're okay.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan.
Is
Yeah.
it the peppermint you're not a big fan of, or just any flavor in general?
I don't know. We definitely have multiple flavors. We had like nerds flavored, I think.
I
Cotton
like the
candy.
Starburst flavor. Brian, what do you have a one you prefer?
I do the Starburst myself as well. That's kind of my preferred go-to for a candy cane. But I'm not real big on candy canes. If I am honest, I never really have been.
So I'll wrap up after this. Like last night, for instance, we finally put up our tree because everybody was home, and we used it to stir the hot chocolate. I think that's a nice touch,
Yeah, I feel
and I
like
think it is a nice decoration. It's not the most awful thing I could have. I do like peppermint. It's just I don't prefer that over other candy, maybe.
agreed.
But I I put together a lot there, so I was a little long-winded, so apologies. But which brings us to quiche, another new segment.
Uh-oh.
And what is this? Well, this is going to be the last time we do this one because what one wish do you have for Christmas this year, tangible or intangible? Matt, what do you got?
So I'm gonna go pretty straightforward here. Christmas wish. I have a 7-year-old son. We're in like peak Santa years here, and we're really excited. We're really locked and loaded for Christmas next week. And I don't know how many more true Christmases we're gonna have before we age out of that part of it. So we're really psyched for a couple days off and everything. The Christmas is great, right? And just being a parent for a young child at Christmas is even better. So we're really excited about that.
Great. I mean, I miss those days. I really do. You know. So, and on the other side of it, I'm talking about the one wish I have this year is for my son, who is going to be joining or he has joined already, but he goes to boot camp on January 14th to the United States Marines. And my wish for this Christmas is for him to, let's just say, be able to get through it. He's a tough kid, but it's a big obstacle. It's hard. It's you get up at 4 a.m., and you don't have any of your own time, and you're far away from home. And my wish for him is to be successful at it and for him to make it through and be happy that he did it. And for him to, after that, be around a little more because, you can go anywhere after that. So that's my one wish this year.
Man, that was great. Matt talking about his kids, his son, and Brad talking about his son. And now I'm going to sound super, super greedy. I'm looking for a new set of golf clubs because I've been golfing a lot during the summer, and I need to get my golf game a little better. My slice is really acting up again. And I've been asking for new clubs. Naturally, I'm not going to implore my family to buy them because I'm not a monster. But I have this year just because golf clubs are expensive. They're very expensive. And forking out that money for me sounds great. But if I could trick them into helping me, I'm on board for that. So my one wish for me is greedy. I'd like new golf clubs.
What's really great about what we do here is we have no idea what the other one's going to say. It could just like the fads in and out. We have no idea. So that's what makes this fun.
Yeah.
We all have our own idea in our head what we think this segment is for us, and we do it. So I love that, Brian. So great. I hope you get them.
Me too.
What a golf? I mean, obviously there's going to be a range, but what do golf clubs cost these days?
So they usually break them down. You can buy like your sets of irons together. Those usually run you about $1,000. And then usually your drivers are anywhere from $300 to $800
a piece.
A piece for just the driver. Yeah.
For the driver.
So yeah, that's what I said. Doing it myself is a little tough. That's why I'm like, hey, if I could convince them to help me a little bit,
like a bunch of people to pitch in for one big
gift? Pretty much. Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Golf is an expensive sport.
It can be. Yes, it can be.
So that's going to wrap us up for this week. So I'm going to kick it over to Matt for the socials and what we're doing next week. So Matt, what do you got?
Okay. So we are 3 Eggs Are Better Than One, cooking up every Monday morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. Find us on YouTube at 3 Eggs Are Better Than One. The number 3, the letter R, the number 1. Follow us on X or Blue Sky or Instagram or TikTok at 3 Eggs Are Better. The number 3, the letter R. Our individual accounts at YesManBrad, at Bharemza, and I am at Purple Shirt Guy without the I. And what are we doing next week? It's going to be the first ever spelling and grammar challenge. Brad versus Bryant. We're taking it from the group chat to the podcast where I can be publicly critical of all of the mistakes that you two are prone to making and I am prone to calling out. And we're going to go head to head. And it's called Me Too. M-E space T-O.
I can't wait because I think you're going to be very surprised. There's between laziness and accurate, like what we really know.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Hey,
Brian,
prove me wrong.
Well, we're going to see. I'm excited for this. Brian,
I already know one of the words will be your. I already know that because he corrects me on it every time.
I think I'm just going to go basics, huh? There, your.
For me, probably on that one at least because I do that one the most. So,
two.
Well, we want to thank you guys for joining us this week. We hope we gave you guys some what the critics think might be bad movies, but some good movies from us to enjoy. We hope you enjoyed the conversation back and forth, learning about some candy canes. And I want to, on behalf of everybody here, want to wish you all a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we will be back sooner. The egg timer has been set. We'll see you guys next week.